Hey guys, welcome back to Detroit Garage. We're just picking away at this 253 project. Making progress on it, just finding parts for it and putting them on while I wait for the delivery of the overhaul parts. So next Saturday, so this is Sunday, so next week I run down to Danville, Washington and pick up the parts. Anyway, I'm slowly finding all the bits, cleaning them and putting them on the engine so that I don't have to be searching for them while I build it up. I've measured it up and it'll just fit into Alice, so it's going to be tight, but with a little massaging I can get it to fit, so that's really good. I thought I might have to do a 3-inch seat lift, but now I'm going to modify the oil pan and whatnot to get it to sit in here without lifting the seat. But anyway, what I'm going to show you today, a little different. Some of you guys were interested in the old parts that came out of this engine. This is the original 1958 block. It has single O-rings. Not that that would make a big difference, but it's actually pretty cool. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this before. Some of you might have. But there's an O-ring at the bottom of the liner and an O-ring at the top. There's only one O-ring, one at the bottom and one at the top. Now, the other newer 53 series don't have this O-ring at the bottom. I kind of wish they did, to be honest. But anyway, I'll flip the block around later and I'll show you that other O-ring. So that's kind of neat. If you like Detroits, this is a bit of history. So this engine is the 1958 built for the Deere 440 crawler. It's one of the early blocks. Like, this is number 1650, believe it or not. It's really it's really old. So there's the single O-ring for the liner. And if you look at the bottom here, you can see the one single O-ring there too, which is unique. I don't know when they you could see that liner O-ring. There's only one. Now the newer blocks have two, and I don't know when they switched from 1 to 2. But anyway, that's some of the differences unique to this engine. Better look at that O-ring I was telling you about. Single O-ring here. These seals are totally shot as well. Also unique to the single O-rings is the fact it never had an oil filter. No oil cooler. And no oil filter. So here's the modern, if you want to call it that, a modern Detroit 253. It has the oil cooler and the oil filter. The water pump's a little bit different, not much. And then it didn't have the pulleys on the counterbalances either. Also, no emergency shutoff valve here. That's a little bit better. GM, General Motors, diesel power. And the same bossing on this blower. And then they switched it after that to this iconic Detroit badge. Earlier, I guess early 60s. and then called it just GM diesel. And then they incorporated the emergency shutoff valve right here. See that? So if you get a stuck rack, you pull that emergency shutoff and boom, it shuts the air off. Whereas this one, it doesn't have it. It's just a straight run. It's got the port for the ether injection, but that's it. So some of the differences there, it's pretty cool. And then the wear items on this engine, I've thrown away the crank timing gear. I don't know, I think I've thrown it away. But here's the camshaft gears that came out of this engine. They're absolutely trashed. I doubt you'd ever be able to get those working again. And also, something really cool is the governor. Unique to the Crawler series, I believe. And that's the governor off of it. And as I understand, from what I can see, everything works on it. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use the VS governor instead. This one is a double weight LS originally. Somebody swapped it over to the VS with this. But I'm hoping, I'll check it out. It's got the double weights in here. And then I'll convert it back to a double weight LS for automotive use. If I can't, I'll just run it as a VS and see how it works up. And then look for a limited speed. Oh, another unique fact, no piston oiling nozzles. See that? That's pretty cool. So, of course, I'm replacing that. So, geez, I forgot. So there's the oiling ports for the pistons. And being there was no oil filter, no oil cooler, and if the guy ran it hard, which it looks like he did, then hopefully the camera can pick all that up. But there's all the, like, you rub your finger on that, you could feel all that. These are standard bearings, believe it or not. Original GM bearings, standard. And it's right down to the brass. So I know some of you guys are interested in seeing the bearings. And there's a connecting rod. And there's the top, right down to the brass. So the guy drove her right into the ground. I'm not sure what failed on it. I never did get the story. But then the engine was pulled out and it sat outside with no oil pan on it for, oh God, who knows? I'm guessing 20, 30 years. But this is a standard crank. And like I said in the previous video, you may be able to salvage it. Probably have to take it down 10 to 20 at the machine shop to be able to use this crank again. Here's the balance shaft. Of course, it could be turned as well and reused with undersized bearings. The camshaft, all water damage, mostly from sitting. So that I didn't use this, obviously it'd have to be ground. So of the parts I could use, I used everything I possibly could, but upgraded it to the newer 60s, 1960s, 70s kind of stuff. So that's a look at all the wear items. I mean, I'm not throwing this away because you never know, right? You could possibly make another engine. If I could get ahead, I could make another engine. But I can't see myself doing that. But this block is a good block. I just didn't use it because, like I said in the previous video, a friend donated another block with the crank and the cam and everything in it, short block. And it was in better shape and less money to fix, so I decided to go with that one. This one, this block needs new cam bearings. You can see that. You can see the ridge right in the bearing. I've never seen that on any of the other Detroits I've taken apart. So you could tell he never changed the oil in this bad boy. He just ran it with I think he just topped up the oil on it. And of course it didn't have an oil filter, so he never got rid of any of the abrasions in the oil. So here's the camshaft side here with the 3 bearings. And then that's the idler shaft side here. So, but it's a good block. I could send it out, have it hot tanked, and it could live again in another vehicle. You never know what's going to happen at Detroit Garage. I don't really plan any of this stuff out. It sort of just happens. If I planned any of it out, I'd run. I would never do any of it. So this is how it went. Try to do this with one hand for you. Yeah, you know. So that's how it would have been. And then on the 253 series, the head is lubricated by 1 oil outlet, and then the rest are dry. That's all welded up now with stainless, straightened. That was the original oil pan off this engine, the 1958 253. So that's all welded, straightened. A lot of broken bits. That is all welded. You can see the weld there. So here's a look at the modern block, if you want to call it that. And you can see the double O-rings that seal the liner here. Now some of the guys, I've gotten comments on my other videos that some of the guys say don't put the 2 O-rings in there. But I do. I put the 2 O-rings in. They said just put the top O-ring in. But and you see the bottom is not right here. There's no O-ring in here, and I kind of wish there was. But anyway. Just for the turbocharged engines. Have an O-ring down there, that would be awesome. But anyway, there you go. That's a good look at the differences. This block had the head was the other way around. So I have to switch the bearings around on this engine. So I've got to pull this plug, rotate the bearing so this side gets lubricated, and then put a plug on this side. So pull this bearing, rotate it around so there's no pressure coming out of here, and then open this side up so the head's lubricated. So there's only 1 lubrication point for the valve. So there's the lubrication port right there. There's a little seal that seals that off to the head, and that's the only place on a 253 that you get the oil to the rocker arms and stuff. On the 253, sorry, the 353 and the 453, you have 2 ports, 1 on each end of the head. Well, there you have it, guys. That's a good look at the old 253, the differences between the 58 block and the 65 block, mid-60s block. yeah, some of the differences, and I hope you enjoyed that. So again, stay tuned, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care.